Day 551 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia sits on more than 261,000 military personnel losses, so that represents an additional 490 in the past day. Then as for hardware, so 4 tanks, 8 APVs, and a respectably whopping 22 artillery. Then we'll head back across to the map and start out in Murmansk of Russia, as a large explosion was reported by locals, although no specific word as yet on the cause. And the Murmansk Oblast, whilst being a location that is far northeast of Russia, as far as you can go, the location itself serves as a critical location for basing some of Russia's strategic long-range strike aircraft, such as the Tu-22 and the Tu-95s. And ironically, Russia has had to move some of those aircraft here in an attempt to keep them safer. Then we head a little bit down, a little bit south, across to Moscow, as drones appear in the skies once again, thus providing Russians a more open window into the Ukrainian war. This time, Russian authorities stated that they shot down one drone over the Lybertsky region. And as a result of this, Moscow's 2 main airports just south of the city had both been temporarily shut down, with inbound flights again stuck into a holding pattern. The new normal indeed. And again, Ukraine closed the airways to civilian aviation the day Russia invaded. Indeed, now making for those Russian chickens now coming home to roost. Then, as for a quick update from Ukraine's drone attack in the Russian Kursk Oblast from just yesterday, because the update includes where Ukraine reported the striking of 5 Russian aircraft in that drone attack on Kursk's main airfield. Now, the attack reportedly involved a wave of drones which hit the aerodrome airfield, damaging or destroying 4 Su-27 or Su-30 aircraft variants and 1 MiG-29. It also damaged 2 Pantsir missile launchers and the radars of an S-300 air defense system. And it's also said that only 3 of the drones were shot down by Russia's increasingly leaky air defense system. So it looks like Ukraine knew exactly what they were aiming for, but also taking a page out of Russia's playbook, as they decided to send a sizable wave of drones to overwhelm Russian air defenses in the region. Then moving across to the Ukrainian map today, so in the northeast sector, so Russia has potentially amassed up to 100,000 troops in the east of Ukraine and is intensifying its attacks on Ukrainian positions. Now, the troops are concentrated in the Kupiansk-Lerman direction, which is a strategic area that could help Russia to control the Donbass region. However, Ukrainian forces are also mounting ongoing simultaneous counter-offensives, and they are putting Russian troops under severe strain as well. So Russia's ultimate goal in this area is likely that they are trying to advance towards the Oskil River and create a buffer zone for occupied Luhansk. And although it's severely difficult or unlikely that Russia can achieve that, it still perhaps is the Russian army's least difficult objective to achieve at this current juncture of the war, given the vastly shorter distances to the front line from the Russian motherland, thus decreased necessitation for impeccable logistics required to perform their offensives with. Meanwhile, multiple launch rocket systems, or MLRSs, of the armed forces of Ukraine are practicing on the Kupiansk direction, as we can see in this video there. And these MLRS systems, to put it simply, are like 155mm howitzer artillery on steroids. So a volley of rockets with an even bigger impact crater than what a 155mm can provide. And it's good when we see the defenders using them, and very good when we see the invaders losing them. Then we'll head across to the southern axis today, as Ukrainian forces have made some significant progress in the area and are now advancing south towards Novoprokopivka and Verbova. Now, the Russian forces are in a difficult position. The flanks of Verbova are wide open, and the 12 kilometers between the two villages will be difficult to defend. If the Ukrainians are able to move south, they could bypass the Russian defenses just north of Novoprokopivka and force the Russians to abandon their positions there. And then there's also unconfirmed reports of the AFU having extended their flanks to include attacking positions at the settlement of Kapani, just to the west. Interestingly, the Sorovikin line here in the south, which is a series of Russian established defensive lines in the region, has recently been updated with a change of name to the Zemlyannikin line, referring to a new Russian general, all as a result of Sorovikin becoming recently relieved of his duty due to his suspected involvement in the failed Wagner coup from 2 months ago, and he is now currently on a short vacation. But in terms of some very acute military activity in the region over the last day, here's an image of the aftermath of a Ukrainian JDAM strike on a Russian position. And you might remember the JDAMs. They're the air-launched ground attack munitions that are fitted with a foldable wing and inertial guidance GPS and receivers that permit precision strikes at a range of up to 70 kilometers or about 45 miles. They also offer the advantage of being very cost-effective and in much higher supply in comparison to conventional air-launched guided munitions. Then also in the south, near to Robotina, a Russian Lancet drone from the VDV hits a fellow Russian BTR-82A, which is a Russian armored personnel carrier, and possibly hit just to stop it from being captured by the AFU. Simple as that. I make no suggestions on this one about Russia accidentally striking the wrong side, but it has happened quite a bit before. Then moving across to the east, briefly in Kherson, someone destroyed a Russian column in the temporarily occupied Kakhovka region. So that's on the south bank of the Dnieper River, right there. Then I'll head over to the Black Sea for a moment, because I find this to be somewhat important, not very much talked about. But Ukraine and Russia are fighting over control of strategically important gas and oil platforms in the Black Sea. Now, the platforms are located on the northwest part of the Black Sea near the Crimean Peninsula, and actually it's a little bit closer to Odessa. Now, they were built by Ukraine in 2010, but were seized by Russia in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea. And the specific location of these platforms is not publicly known as yet, but my estimation puts them somewhere a little north east of where the Russian Moskva cruiser was sunk last year. Plus, the platforms are valuable because they contain natural resources and can be used as a military base. In fact, it's really been quite a heated area of activity as late, as Russian aircraft have attempted to attack the military vessels of the AFU in the region. Meanwhile, the AFU have been firing back with the shoulder-mounted portable air defense systems, or manpads, to scare off and scare away the Russian aircraft, as you can see in this video. But I would submit that this location is likely just the next Snake Island. Snake Island, as you may remember, was occupied by the Russian forces, but it's just too close to the Ukrainian mainland, and not long thereafter it was actually taken or liberated back under Ukrainian control. Then we'll head across to some news for today. We'll start off with some Russian economy news, which I do indeed enjoy from time to time, because take, for instance, have a look at this one. So Russia recently stated that the inflation rate within their economy was a measly 4% or so, which is extremely odd considering they recently upgraded their central bank interest rate from about 8% to 12%. as a result of a central bank meeting, which is odd considering one of the primary reasons that central banks of countries raise interest rates in the first place is to combat inflation. It is the main tool in their arsenal. However, if we'd like to take a peek at approximately what Russia's real interest rate is, we can refer to the Hankey's Inflation Dashboard, which is a trusted source from Johns Hopkins University that utilizes a variety of different methodologies to give us an accurate depiction of what Russia is really dealing with. And what we can see here is a staggering figure of about 60% as reported by the index, which is somewhat fairly consistent with a lot of stories we've seen in Russia where many Russian consumers have complained about prices for a whole range of products, doubling or even tripling in some instances. I guess sanctions do work. Then in some other news, a little bit of a Prigozhin update. So a Russian investigative committee said they confirmed the death of Prigozhin due to a DNA analysis of bodies retrieved from the private aircraft crash that happened over the weekend near Moscow. And although I know what you might say, I'll say it too, although the Russian state is capable of lying, it's also capable of silencing or eradicating its political opponents, or ones that potentially ripped the very fabric of Russian national security, just as Prigozhin did with his mutinous actions in Russia on June 23rd this year. And then add to that news piece, the Wagner Group is still not happy, and Russian authorities continue to destroy more Wagner Group cemeteries, this time in the Russian oblast of Irkutsk. Oh, and perhaps what's most bizarre is how we found some footage that was recorded from a few months ago of Prigozhin almost predicting his own death with fairly incredible accuracy, saying that the Kremlin better eliminate him because he won't lie and that he has to be honest. And if the cogs are just not adjusted, the plane will fall apart midair. Although, to be fair, he was referring to Russia itself being on the brink of disaster, as you can see there. But still, pretty close stuff. Then as for something lighter today, so happy birthday warrior, as this video shows us that even frontliners of the AFU get to spare a moment to celebrate their brothers-in-arms birthday occasions. What a bunch of champions. And I'm still really yet to see any sort of video camaraderie from the Russian side that expresses the same basic sentiments. Then we'll head across to the funnies for today, guys. I've been a little bit light on them recently, so I thought I'd do a bit of a rapid fire session of funnies today, 3 or so. So starting off, in the first one, Russia Today editor-in-chief Margarita Simonyan reported that a drone fell near her house in Russia for the second time in a week. Now, this wouldn't be funny if it was some civilian, but this is one of Russia's top propagandists. She also expressed how she's having trouble sleeping because of these events. But I'm pretty sure that's just her conscience telling her to stop supporting her country's invasion of another country. Then in another quick funny, so Kadyrov is in the spotlight once again. I haven't seen this guy in a while, but well, as a result, I have to pop on this clip of him expressing his 100% certainty that Russia will win in Ukraine. Then somewhere in the video, he also threatened to invade Scandinavian countries. And he's actually not looking that healthy either. I know he's had his health troubles of late, and as well, in fact, on the audio feed, his voice makes him sound like he's really struggling to even speak. Then in a final funny, last but not least, so another Russian propagandist on late night TV said that it was the Anglo-Saxons that eliminated Prigozhin, which this guy assumably means the West or NATO. But I've got to say, it automatically just conjures up images for me of, say, 11th century Anglo-Saxon warriors attempting to somehow attack Prigozhin and his plane midair. But then the guest speaker even went further than that to say that the Anglo-Saxons now have Surovikin in mind to eliminate next. I mean, at this point, isn't all of these Russian late-night talk narratives just getting a little bit ridiculous? I honestly think at this point that Russian state media TV just spews out every possible theory, no matter how far-fetched they are, hoping that any one of them lands with their audience. Full of integrity, these guys are. So that will be it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Please continue to like and comment and subscribe if not already. And I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.